And on today's installment of Ben Learns the Rules by Podcasting, we talk about weapons and equipment and how much they weigh. More on that top news story in 5.
Don't move! Don't fucking move! Put your hands in the air! Put your hands in the air! Put them up! Get on your knees! Hey!
Hello and welcome to the Table's Edge, a Spectre, Operations, and other modern wargaming podcast. My name is Ben. I'm one of your hosts, obviously, if you're listening at this point. And I have with me my co-host, Dan.
Hey guys. I wanted to point out quickly, we're not sponsored by Spectre, because we aren't. We just love the game rules, and yeah, because people were asking and thinking strange thoughts about this. So we're just enthusiasts for the rule set.
Yes, we are the unofficial fan club. So speaking of Spectre, Dan, what have you been up to for your hobby life? What you been up to?
So in terms of Spectre itself, I printed a lot of miniatures again, as usually, because it's the easy part of the hobby. I printed Combat Octopus, the African Militia one, but I haven't touched them yet, so they're just like, printed and waiting to getting their supports off and being built. I printed a lot of them to mix and match, to just try with some other parts with the Bundeswehr and some other hats, so that's awesome. Excited for that one. I dipped into the world of Guaro 3D and got some models, and I printed off the Kamas Typhoon Russian APC truck. You can call it.
Yeah, that thing's huge.
Yeah, it's really huge. It's so huge that I cannot print it on my resin printer on the Mars Elegoo. But since Guaro makes them more for FDM printing, the filament printing, I decided I'd give it a shot and printed it in a very high resolution. I think 0.16 layer height millimeters. And turns out great. It looks really great. I just need to glue them together. It's a 2-part and the wheels separately. And I also printed the Scud from Guaro, the big mass Scud.
I feel like big is an understatement. What is it like?
Huge.
12 inches long?
Yeah, it's 12 inches. Like a... Yeah.
Yeah, like...
Not what
like
you
what?
think. Like a...
Like a foot. Yeah, like a foot.
Like a record. The old records, they're 12 inch too. As an old DJ, like I'm... and black. And so I'm really excited for that one. I probably will only print one Scud missile because it's so huge. Imagine already in Spectre you needing 2 turns to run around it. Will be funny.
Yeah.
Besides that, I started. I'm having holiday this week. Well, it's already ending. We have Friday in Germany already. But I want to tackle all of my backlog from the Spectre miniatures, which I have primed and based. And I started with the first 10 or 12, and they're going on. And yeah, besides that, I painted some buildings. I have a lot of primed and ready buildings. For example, I have one big Pavlov's house, which I intended to had planned to use with bolt action, but due to the fact that the bolt action building rules are so kind of lame or simplistic, I decided I will use it for Spectre, and it will get a modern 80s Eastern European style with some, TV dishes and a modern color set. And besides that, I backed the Miska Kickstarter. Miska is a new French star on the 3D designing scene. He made Syrian Rebels Kickstarter, which looks really great. A lot of, I think, 13 different miniatures, different hats, really nice hats with big beards. So I'm already seeing myself kit bashing them with a lot of Combat Octopus and probably TBMs to give some older models new life.
And you printed some of them out or you printed out the free test one that he has on Gumroad, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you want to check that out, definitely check out Gumroad. It's Miska Miniatures, Miska Miniatures.
Yeah, we put a link in the drumroll description. And yeah, I'm super excited. I got the files today. I didn't have any chance to check them out, but I will do tomorrow, and the printers will go hot on printing those.
Well, not only does it come with the miniatures, but it's got a couple little extras, right? There's some vehicle in there, and
there's
one turret.
Automated turrets, or like not automated, but remote controlled. Yeah, remote controlled, which is pretty funny. And there is like this home-built type of APC with a remote-controlled 50 cal turret, or Dishka, I think, on top, which is really cool, based on some... damn it, I don't know the name. Cham 2, I think it's the name.
That sounds right.
Yeah. And sadly, we didn't got any stretch goals. The stretch goal, the Hell Cannon, which are those also home-built...
They launched
mortars,
and stuff,
with the propane tanks, which is pretty cool. But there are also like a lot of accessories, like the guns, PKMs, AKs, RPGs, crates with AKs inside, which are pretty cool. And yeah, I'm really excited to give them a print and a paint.
Well, hopefully, the Kickstarter was fully funded, and unfortunately, there weren't any stretch goals that were unlocked. But I would imagine we'll probably see those on his store relatively soon. They're too good to not share and make money off of. I'm sure people will still buy them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the stretch goals will appear as well there on the store, because he definitely have them already designed.
Yeah, they're nice looking renders. I think there were some even like some physical pictures of some of the
painted up
stretch goals.
Painted up. Really, right? If he paints his stuff himself, he's a very talented painter. I really like his style. Really nice. And and last
tracksuits.
Tracksuit. Yeah, those are cool. Some Adidas boys in the hood. And the last bullet on my list for the hobby update is I bought today finally a new light bulb for my painting table. It's 75 watts, 1055 lumen, 6500 Kelvin, and 80 CRI LED light bulb, which just literally blew my mind when I screwed it in and turned it off. I now can see all the colors and no shadows and things. I'm really excited to get painting tomorrow. And yeah, don't skimp on your lights.
Yeah, you're gonna have to shoot me which one that is, because I'll look at my terrible paint jobs under really nice light. That's fine. I can't blame the light then for me not doing good paint jobs.
I mean, it's just $10 for me. It's just a light bulb. But it's
easy.
Awesome. Yeah.
Easy pickup.
And you, Ben, what have you been up to? Did you manage your 2021 goal?
I did. One of the ones that I did actually finish was 50 Spectre miniatures for 2021. I finished off my 50. I think I was at 45 last time we talked. I finished off the 50 with a batch of 5 MENA civilians. So I'm pretty excited to have those on the board. They've just been running around. I still used to play with them. I know I'm naughty playing with primed miniatures, not fully painted, but I like how the civilians look on the board, and even if they're a little primed figure, it still makes it more populated, and it puts me more into the scene and the suspension of the disbelief, right? So it sets the scene for me, which we always talk about. So I have a couple more that are painted up. I still have a couple more from that set to finish, and I have more civilians coming with the upcoming release from the Patreon for Combat Octopus. He's doing very, very sought after mix and match MENA civilians. I think there's 4 for the corporal level and 6 for the sergeant level. So 3 males and a female, and then 4 males and 2 females for the sergeant, plus I think maybe some extra goodies. Who knows? But they look like they have a lot of kit bashing potential for weapons and stuff, and they have some cool poses. There's a guy walking with a shopping bag. Dude pulling something out of his coat as he's walking, so that's kind of exciting. A lot of potential there for a bunch of stuff. And I think he listens. I know he has it on his phone, but my friend Abe has convinced me to do a no new projects pledge for 2022. And we'll talk about that a little bit in our next segment when we talk about hobby goals for 2022. But basically, it's a pledge to work on all the projects that we already have. So you're allowed to buy things, which is obviously big for, an addict like me. I need to buy, or make or whatever. But I am not starting any new projects, quote unquote. So any army that I already have started, I can work on, and I can buy stuff, for a bolt action army. I might need a truck or something, so I can go buy that. It's not like no new models. I would fail that immediately. But I'm trying to work through my backlog of terrain and miniatures that I have painted and primed, or not painted, but primed up. And a lot of them I have, like Dan said, the pile of resin grows by the day pretty much. I have a bunch of guys that I have ready for my 2022 goals that I have been working towards. So kind of getting everything tidied up and reducing the pile of shame into stuff that's playable, which I'm super excited about. Speaking of that, there's been something that's been sitting in my work area for about 6 months now, and that is a 2 foot by 2 foot demo board for Spectre or for pretty much anything. But I basically made a 2 foot by 2 foot wood frame, and then put the insulation foam, pink foam, in it, and then covered it with ground texture and did all that good stuff, and then painted it. And I painted it to match my African theater, so it's kind of blood red ground. But I looked, because I may want to get into a cowboy game that I bought a while ago. There are some red dirt in other places in the world, so it'll work for other things in addition to my African theater. So I'm pretty stoked. It sounds like we might have some actual plans for that demo board coming up soon, so that's something we'll talk about in the near future.
Yeah, but I can vouch for it. It looks really great. Ben shared some pictures, and
I'm pretty excited about it. I mean, I even got I got little feet on it too, like little felt feet, so I don't scratch my table.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that this is like an intro to get my wife into playing with me, but that's probably just a pipe dream. I don't know if that'll ever happen. She's interested, but now I can bring it up and put it on the kitchen table and be like, "We're playing. The kids are sleeping. Let's play some Spectre." So excited about that.
Maybe you just need a little IKEA showroom so you can.
Oh, that's smart. She likes IKEA. That's really smart. I'll write that down. So in addition to my demo board, I've been kind of plucking along on scatter terrain for that demo board. Some stuff from various manufacturers and 3D prints, some MDF concrete power pylons and stuff from things from the basement. They have some great stuff that's good for the modern era and World War II, and they go back to black powder. So check them out. Things from the basement. He's actually a German guy. He lives in America, though. In addition to that, I am working on printing some non-modern goodies for one of my buddies, and it's been kind of a pain because he, Matt, I love you, buddy, but I've been having some fun with these and also banging my head against the table, but taking really big models and then shrinking them down to like heroic scale, and then supporting them and printing them and making sure they're the right scale. And it's been a journey, and I'm still plucking away at it. I promise. I know you've listened to this, Matt, so I'm still working on it, I promise. But in addition to that, while I've been playing with the STLs, I printed off a bunch of the African troops as well, the militia troops, as you were saying. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be using them more as a organized force, like that a government would have. So I got a whole bunch of them, supported by 3 technicals that I have printed off as well. And those are from Miska as well, and they are super awesome STLs. They print out great. You just have to support them yourself to get them at a nice angle. I was having some failures when I was printing the pre-supported ones that were flat, but as soon as I tipped them up to 45 degrees, or it was probably like 35 degrees, they came out great. But it comes with stowage for it, interchangeable machine guns. Yeah, turrets, machine guns. One of them has like a big piece of armor on the front. a gun shield. And then it's got several different gunners, and the heads are interchangeable too. So it's a very versatile kit. I think it was probably about $10, $11 US. Definitely worth it. It's got two different versions of the technical. One with a snorkel. It's actually got the Toyota on the back and the front emblem too, if you're into that. And then they have the non-snorkel version. It's a little bit different. And actually it has versions for the gun mount to be in the front of the bed or the center of the bed. So there's a lot of variety in the kit. And like I said, they print out wonderfully. I'm excited to get them together. They're staring at me. The supports need to be removed, but I have like a whole bunch. So, and a couple wrecked ones because I keep those, the failures, 4 wrecks. So I'll be plucking away at those, and I'll be posting pictures of those hopefully sometime soon. A little progress.
And what is cool is they have the keying for the guns. So
yeah,
if you're a magnet guy, you can just put a magnet into the keyhole and one on the gun, and then you can like literally change the turret if you get a casualty, which is pretty cool. Or even turn it around, which is even cooler if they face where they're actually shooting at. So, yeah.
I'm
awesome.
super excited. And it comes with actually 2 different versions of the gun. One that's designed for the gunner, like you're saying. So he's got like the trigger controls in his hands. And then that's actually printed separately from the gun, so the gun is flat. And then they have one that's the gun with the controls on the back, so it can be there without the gunner. So, like I said, very versatile. Comes with some cool parts. The wheels look awesome. I love the detail on the rims and the tread on the tires. Can't say enough good things about it, and I highly recommend it, especially if you're looking for something that's iconic for the Middle East or Africa.
Yeah. And what I forgot to mention when I was talking about the free miniature from Miska, they scale perfectly with Spectre miniatures and also with Combat Octopus. They're like really fit perfectly in. So hats off or cheers to that.
Yeah. They look
awesome.
Great.
Yeah.
So they're going to fit seamlessly, which is, you know how I feel about that.
Yes.
It's like I'm a nerd about that. And another thing that Dan and I have been working on, Dan was nice enough to do tweaks to an STL that I bought, tweaks for our own personal use of a G-Wagon, and it looks fantastic. Benghazi, 13 hours. Yeah, is definitely going to happen. I have a couple of G-Wagons now sitting for my VIP convoy.
Yes, and you already have the other big game element lying around. Yeah,
which we will not talk about. Although I did.
I hope you snuck it into your 2022 goals.
Yeah, it's such a cool. You're talking about the Ambassador's compound. I'm pretty sure I talked about that in like episode 1, how I have that. And I have not touched it because I couldn't find my Dremel tool. And I have not located my Dremel tool. I got to Dremel out some of the pin and hole setup for the compound walls. If you don't Dremel them out, they're tight and you can't remove them to set them up in a different fashion. And I want it to be able to be used in a different, in a different setup each time potentially. So I got to do that. But it is sitting behind me in my pile of to do. So I think that'll make an appearance too. Well, especially now because I have the G-Wagons, and we were talking, you found some other.
Yeah, I found the S-Class, which they're also using. It's not the same in the movie, but the previous model, but fine enough to get your kick-ass PMC Special Force convoy going.
Yeah, it's going to happen. It's going to happen with my Nemesis one of these times. Mark my words, Nemesis. When you're listening, you mark my words. So in addition to that, like I said, just some other scatter terrain. I worked on my UN guys they're part of my 2022 goal. I got them all built and primed. Those are from Combat Octopus, the Indians, with the blue helmets and the M81 camouflage. So I just got to do a little green stuff work to hide a seam that I don't like so much. But they went together great. I'm very excited about that. And one of my technicals is actually going to be used for them as well. Because I think they look kick-ass in white.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you put AKMs on those, on the Indians?
No, they have the
Incest
rifle, and then they have the SIGs. But I might print off another set. I have 7 to start with, which is, I figured, like a foot patrol or whatever.
Yeah.
enough to fit in the back of M113, probably with a lot of room to spare. Maybe not, I don't know. And then, or in the pickup truck. So there'll be more. I guess it was, did we talk about that? I mean, that was one of the goodies that if you're a Patreon of Combat Octopus, and he puts out these little goodies, you know, like we got the duffel bag.
For the Bundeswehr.
For the
and
Bundeswehr.
MP7.
And the MP7. So you could take those and put them on other models and stuff.
He made the heads with the PAS GT helmet and with the, what is the other helmet? The Soviet one, the SSH-68 for the Africans.
Yeah.
And he did like silenced versions of all the guns from the KSK guys. The AKMs for the Indians, all like in his stash of goodies, how he calls it.
Thank you, Stan. Yeah. They're awesome.
Spasiba.
Turn-based Miniature also has some files that he puts out kind of in his stash of bits. He kicked out some weapons that were free for his Patreon, so they're cool if you're into kit bashing or adding on to scenery or whatever if you want some guns laying around. They're a little bit more on the high-tech end. Or maybe not high-tech, but high-speed end with lots of accessories on them, but they're available too. So being a Patreon has some perks other than just the regular releases.
And a cheaper price for the releases.
And the cheaper price for the releases.
In comparison.
Yes.
Comparison to buying everything off the Gumroad or other platforms.
Yes. And our buddy M from the Discord has also been a busy boy over the holidays. And he is making some upgrade parts for, I guess, Blue 4 vehicles. Some stuff that you're going to find on retrofitted vehicles or upgrades. So like new vision, sight stuff for tanks, like gun sights, thermal vision, some smoke dischargers,
antennas,
the friendly indicator, strobe light things.
IR?
Yeah, the IR things. He's got those. A whole bunch of fun stuff that he's working on. So look for more from the M in the near future. He's got a free sample. Yeah. He's calling them the vehicle accessories. So check that out on his Gumroad. And that's TTE Immersion on Gumroad. He'll be up there. So yeah, I don't know, Dan, if you heard, but there's been like this weird, like heavy breathing going on, like every other.
Yeah,
every
I hear it in my neck. It's condensing already.
Oh,
so.
It's condensing? We've got to that point already?
Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, I guess, Anthony, do you want to talk about anything? Like, are you just going to sit over there?
Oh, yeah, I thought you were doing a pretty good job by yourself. But, sure, yeah. I as far as moderns go, I've had a really big break in the latter half of 2021. I was real focused on World War II, especially leading up to Renegade Open. I had a lot of hobby debt to get done, and that I put off to the last second there. But right around Christmas and then kind of up to now, I've been able to get back on moderns, and I've been putting work in on my SAS and some of my insurgents. I've been real happy with it, especially dipping into camouflages.
Yeah, you were rocking out doing some really, really nice camouflage jobs, and that's the first time that you've dabbled like with the newer style of camouflage, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've played with. Well, I mean, I've gotten pretty good at doing like some of the German camouflages from the Second World War, but those stopped becoming relevant pretty quick. And then I tried the Spectre operations. You know, they've got the both the colors and the sort of step-by-step guide for doing multicam. And I saw that, you know, a while back, but I finally gave it a shot. And I actually went and hunted down the all the colors, and I'm trying to remember which one of them, but it was one Vallejo color, which I had to call around to like every goddamn hobby store in the valley, and I finally found one bottle. But Yep, I put that all together and I tried it. And it's very, it's like whatever, like 8 steps. But when I got done with it, I was just blown away. I was really, really happy. And my little color blobs, the camouflage pattern is a little more ham-fisted than theirs. But even still, even like close up, I'm very happy with how it turned out.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. I think you nailed that multicam. Did you use military shader on it, or what did you use for the?
Yes,
yeah.
I used the what is it? It's Games Workshop like camo shade.
Oh,
I forget,
the
it has a
Athenian
fussy name.
Athenian camo shade.
Yep. So yeah, I use the colors. It's a mixture of Vallejo and Citadel paints, and for color matching, the colors for that pattern, and I'm very happy.
Yeah, I think you crushed it. Nice job, buddy.
I want to see some pictures. I
posted in the Spectre Discord that you guys created. Yeah.
Damn.
I think it did. If I didn't, then I'm sorry. I will.
We can make sure that Dan sees. You did an awesome job on him. And for those of you who haven't really picked up, Anthony is my nemesis. So when I refer to my nemesis, it's this guy.
Yeah, and I don't know why he calls me that. This is just something he decided on his own.
Yeah. I make the decisions. I wear the pants sometimes. Don't tell my wife.
Who wears the apron?
Anyway, so you rocked out the SAS. Those are Empress?
Yeah, so it's funny because, we got into Spectre and then started buying all their beautiful models, but so much of their stuff was sold out. So we started looking for other, manufacturers and stuff like that. And we came across Eureka and Empress, and I loved Empress so much that, I got a lot of their stuff, and for as many, and I have lots, for as many Spectre models as I have, I've yet to put paint on any of them. But I have been painting my Empress. But yeah, so the Empress has 2 sets of SAS. They have the like the low profile guys that are like kind of partially in civilian gear. They just have like chest rigs. They don't have armor. And then they have like their high, like tacked out guys that are like, kinetic entry team. They've got fucking night vision, full body armor. I know one of the models has a breaching shotgun out with his M4 slung around his back. It's like, so I've got both sides of the SAS there, and I'm excited about that.
Yeah, how are you going to run them as SAS, or are you?
Oh yeah. I'm gonna put like UK flags on their shoulders and bags, and even the low pro guys, they have like some of them have ball caps, and they straight up have a patch spot on them. So I'm gonna throw some flags on those.
Nice. I'm excited to see them. I still have some of your Taliban kicking out of my basement, keeping watch on their little village that's here.
Yeah, you got a ton of my trains still.
Yeah, I play with it from time to time. Don't worry, it's getting used. It's my community service to you.
Yeah, store. Yeah, you're my storage area. And that's more Empress. I have their Insurgents, which I think the first moderns that I really painted were my Eureka, not Insurgents, but they're like
the Mujahideen.
Mujahideen.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, something like, or Taliban. I think they're Taliban fighters. I don't know if it really matters. But those were fine. Those are pretty good. But boy, Empress, the detail that they get in those models just mind bending.
Yeah.
And speaking about bending, the barrels aren't.
Yes, that's what I tell people. Like I love Spectre miniatures, and when it comes to like your modern miniatures, I put Spectre number 2 and Empress number 1. And mostly Empress number 1 because they have found that secret sauce between high detailed and very close to 1-to-1 scale on the weapons, but they're still really strong. Like they're not, because you look at like I do like Eureka, but you look at their weapons and they are chonky. Like that AK-47 is like holding an electric guitar backwards. But it doesn't bend. It will not bend. But then you look at obviously Spectre. That's like their the biggest thing you'll say against Spectre models is that the rifles and they come facing at the back at the guy.
Yeah.
And so it's like it may contain repair work.
Yeah.
Some assembly required.
But
then you have Empress, which the weapons, they're not super chunky. They're super detailed and super beautiful, but they are just strong, just really rugged. And if there are bent, if it is bent, it's bent a little, and it will go right back.
See, get this man a sponsorship. Empress, if you're listening, get this man a sponsorship. He just sold me on some new models. Don't tell Abe.
I'll finish, I gotta finish my Insurgents, and I'll finish my SAS, and then I'll actually show them off.
Good. We have a lot of projects to do, and we have a lot of games to do. So, for a long time, it was my Africans versus your Mujahideen, and that was a really weird slap fight.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, those were like the first games. Anthony is the one who dragged me into Spectre, kicking and screaming. And he told me the sweet little lie. You only need 10 miniatures. You only need 10, Ben. It's not a big deal. Yeah. We all know how that went. But yeah.
You're the one who ran off into your fake African country and started just making all these government troops, as you call them.
I couldn't help myself, all right? I can't help myself. But yeah, I have some fond memories of our first couple games of Spectre on my kitchen table with our terrain. And my African troops trying to capture back their guy that got kidnapped by your guys, and that was some good times.
You also got to flex your mercenaries a bit too.
Oh yeah, that campaign that we started but never finished. We need to do that too. That was a fun little series. Yeah.
Write it down on the hobby goal list right now.
Yeah.
Speaking of hobby goals for 2022, Ben, what do you have on your very long list, which I already peeked on?
Yeah, you peeked on my list, Dan? What are you doing?
Yeah,
that is a private list. Just kidding.
I peeked through the keyhole.
No, I gotta look again. I got a bunch of stuff from varying different games. Some of it can be used back and forth between games. My other main squeeze at the moment is bolt action, and kind of bridging into chain of command and some BattleTech stuff that I'm kind of dabbling in because I like giant stompy robots on occasion. But as far as stuff that would be relatable to moderns, I have a goal, first off, to play 12 games of Spectre this year. And that could be anything from Tabletop Simulator to, I won't count each demo game that I run as a separate game, but maybe a day's worth of demo games could count as a game played. So I want to do 12 games of Spectre, and I have a couple different projects that are kind of my priority projects for 2022. And here I am recorded, committing it. It's not just in writing. But one of the forces is my UN detachment, again, of it's a handful of guys right now. I think it's 6 or 7 guys, a Land Cruiser Technical and an M113. I have a African militia. I have a whole bunch of African militia that are primed and ready for paint. I have several that are painted, but it's a force that I am very passionate about and very excited about. I just haven't been able to focus down and do it, mainly because it's not a force that I can batch paint. It's a force that I want to have each guy having kind of a little bit of individuality, maybe a sports jersey with lettering or different styles of camouflage. It's one thing that I really like about the African theater is that it's got so many different types of camouflage and lots of eye candy to look at. So I got a whole bunch of them to do. I want to get at least 20 done, which is like 4 or 5 squads, mostly armed with rifles, but a couple heavy weapons, RPGs, light machine guns, etc. And they're probably going to get a technical or 2 as well. I want to do a female PMC crew. I have a couple of female sculpts kicking around. I'm hoping, I'm not trying to, what's the word I'm looking for, patronize my wife, but I'm hoping that if I have some females on the board, maybe she'd be interested. Plus, I like the diversity, so I have like 5 or 6 female sculpts from various places, both 3D printed. I have the turn-based one that I really enjoy. That's from the movie Sicario, or a likeness to the movie Sicario, to one of the main characters. So she's printed off. I got to base her and get her painted up. A couple Spectre miniatures, a couple Footsword North America miniatures, and a couple vehicles. I have 3 Spectre SUVs, the luxury SUVs that I want to do up, so I can have a convoy. And I have a couple VIPs on the painting table right now, actually, for them to protect. So it's like the Blackmailer, the Arms Dealer, and the Sheik are the ones that I'm going with right now for them. I also want to do a bank robber crew. I have a bunch of, I think it's 8 or 9 guys from Combat Octopus, from the bank robber series. And Anthony, I am hoping that you're going to do this soon. I'm hoping.
Yeah, I know what you're thinking.
Yeah, you know what I'm thinking. Anthony,
you want me to paint my guys that are in boiler suits.
I do, and I want you to be assembling.
Actually, I was going to say we should get together so that we can paint those guys, or have you paint all of them or something like that, just so that they match.
Yeah.
And what I'm talking about are the bank robber crew from Spectre Miniatures, which I think it's 4 guys in boiler suits or jumpsuits with with masks. Yeah. But what Ben is excited about is that I have the I think it's New Horizons Bank from Black Site Miniatures, and it is sitting on my floor, not being built yet, but it is kind of next in the hopper to get assembled.
That is a beautiful kit from Black Site Studios, and they are pre-painted as well, right?
Oh yeah,
and I think that comes with some cool not resin pieces, but acrylic pieces.
Acrylic.
Oh, God, I'm so excited.
Yeah, that's a really neat kit, and I'm excited to obviously get it together and then get it on the table.
And I have some turn-based miniatures. This isn't part of my goal, but I have some turn-based miniatures that are at the American Police, so I guess I could probably work it into that, because one of my goals is actually to play a game on that bank table, and we need to do a battle report for it. So
yeah,
let's make that happen.
Some fucking cops and robbers for sure.
Yeah, cops and robbers. Love it. So that's coming. I also have Mini-Me Mouse. I think it was a Halloween special miniature from Spectre.
October 2020.
Yeah. I made sure to pick that one up because I think it's cool. It's I think we've talked about her before, but she is like the crew leader, maybe. That's what I'm gonna use her for. But she's got like rollerblades on and a short skirt, I think, and then like a Mini-Me light machine gun, what the M249 is based off of. Right, Anthony? I get that right this time. And she's got the big Minnie Mouse head, like a costume.
Disneyland.
Yeah, like if you're at Disneyland. So I think that's a badass sculpt and something different to paint. Still dreaming up what I want to paint her with. I don't want to go all stereotypical and pinks and stuff, but I think I might need to just to be different, and it's a pretty badass sculpt. So looking forward to that. Another thing that I'm looking to do is Dan and I have been talking, and he's been sending me a lot of inspirational pictures, is a militia motorcycle crew for my African theater. Motorcycles and dirt bikes and mopeds and stuff are really common ways to get around in many places, and they're very popular in Africa. So I'm taking some of turn-based miniatures, Sicarios on motorbikes, and they are going to be repurposed, maybe some green stuff sculpting here and there, but they're going to be some light transport for my African forces. I think it'll be cool to be able to shuttle some guys around, and I'm actually looking at mounting a machine gun on one of them, probably like a dish gun or something. Paul beat me to it from our Discord, and his is beautiful. He's got a guy standing behind his. I think he used Eureka Miniatures. I believe they have some motorcycle guys, and he's got a guy standing behind it, gunning with a 50 cal off the back of the motorcycle, which is pretty badass. So I'm excited to kind of work on that. Like I mentioned, the African military squads and their complement of vehicles.
Hey, you can always still be the first one to do the Dishka mounted on a shopping cart.
There's Quartermaster actually has one of those prints. I feel like.
Oh, really?
I feel like Enemy Spotted has one too. But yeah, I think we need to have one of those just because. And I think that we need to like make rules up for him too. Like he's like maybe faster moving or something because he's got his shopping cart.
Yeah, he can jump on it and then skate a little bit. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Some other stuff. I'm looking at building some terrain, some dirt roads that I'm working on for Universal stuff. Maybe I'll throw some pictures up of those. A river and small lake project I'm working on. Some palm trees and long grass, stuff like that. And finish off my civilians and maybe some more Op4. I kind of left that one generic, so Abe wouldn't bug me if I decided to go rogue. Be like, well, I mean, these hazmat guys, I guess they could be Op4, right? Well, they're not on my list, but yeah, I'm gonna probably work on like the turn-based miniatures, Taliban. I have a crew of them. Those are always good for some nice quote-unquote generic baddies. So, yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at. I have a whole bunch of projects, and I know I'm not going to get all of them done, but if this can kind of focus me in, I'm going to finish some more of my African buildings, as Anthony says they're always in, like, purgatory. But I'll keep working on those. I'm happy because now I have that demo board, and I have a use for them, if you will. Like, I can use them to run demo games and stuff. Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm looking at.
But that's just ultramodern.
Yeah, that's just my ultramodern stuff. Like I said, I have a couple other things for like bolt action, some terrain, and finishing off my Soviet army. And
how about finishing off any army?
Italian army
shade. And both of you throwing shade at me.
He's got like 2 armies that are like at 90%.
Yeah, well, they're never gonna be done. Like then I might die. But yeah. I'd like to get 1,250 points of Soviets done. I have like an armored platoon that I want to get done. That's like it's base coded, and I just need to sit down and do the washes and all that fun stuff, which is all fun stuff. I get distracted.
That's your T-34s, right?
Yeah. I have
Yeah, actually, to just as a tangent here, there's the first scenario in the Bolt Action Korea book. The North Koreans are assaulting with 3 T-34s. So I was like, hey, I think we could use Ben's for that.
Yeah, I'll allow it. They're green. I mean, they're green right now. So, I mean, and they're like modulated. They got modulated green on them. They're just not like, done. But yeah, if you want to use them.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about the color.
That counts as modern.
Yeah, the hardest part is going to be getting all those Koreans.
Yeah. That's kind of a niche. But, I guess one of my other things that's applicable is Dan and I have been talking about this for a long time, but 2022 is going to be the year when we're going to start putting out some YouTube videos. And we're looking at anything from like maybe some small tutorials to a focus on one of our forces, maybe some background or something to inspire people, or just to, say what we're thinking, write down some of our ideas or put them out there. Anthony and I have been talking about doing some battle reports. I got a new camera that's capable of streaming, so maybe we'll look at that. So I guess soft promise on some YouTube videos and maybe some live streaming at some point.
No, hard promise.
Hard promise. All right, Dan's
February 1st video.
Okay. Ooh,
bam.
That's like, Dan, that I'm not going to date this episode, but that is a couple days away.
Yeah. I didn't say when in February, but in February. So this is post-edit then. It seems I've been a little bit too ambitious since we already have March, so don't listen to past Dan. He's full of shit. Yeah, but we try our best for March. Don't take my word.
I'll drop me in a surprise live stream on Valentine's Day.
Heavy breathing video.
It's a heavy breathing.
Yeah.
So yeah,
the Valentine's Day battle report where Ben sleeps on the couch.
it always ends in me sleeping on the couch. Always. Just kidding. My wife loves me.
Live from the doghouse. You should call your gaming room.
Oh, that's really good. We'll write that down. I like that. I like that. The doghouse. Nice. Very nice. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at for 2022. I know that was like a 10-minute tangent on what I'm going to do, but that's kind of how my hobby thing is. And Dan, actually, I'm going to give you a shout out on this because this helped me organize my thoughts. And it's funny because professionally, I have to be really organized and like know what I'm doing and what's going on at all times, which is great. But with my hobby, it's like the complete opposite. I don't know if it's me getting it out of my system, but I have ADD in like the worst way. And one of the yeah, no, that's shocking for Anthony to hear. Rein him in. I have to have a handler. You know, I go to a store and I'm like, what's that? Oh, this game looks fun, and I'm trying to straighten it out. And
I've lost count of how many times Ben has sent me like a picture of something he wants to buy or a link to something cool or another game he wants to play. He's like, what do you think of this? And I just respond, I think you should finish painting those models you showed me last week.
It's like I have another wife. It's terrible.
Yeah, it's not what you want to hear.
I know, it's not what I want to hear.
I got some of those pictures and links as well.
Yeah, it's what I need. It's what I need. Hey, but everybody likes pirates, man. Don't you tell me you don't want to.
Not wrong there.
Yeah. Anyway, that's not modern. I'll give a shout out.
It could be. Well, you talk about Somali pirates.
Oh, that's true. Oh, and there's that cool battle report. We'll talk about that later. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know what.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I'll shout out to Dan quick before I forget. But Dan has me using this app that's free called Notion, and it allows me to write down all my projects and track their progress and give them updates on statuses, and it like lays them out in like a visual like card thing. So I actually have like pictures of my projects, and it lets me do like lists. It like lets you do anything, and it's kind of nice because I can share it with Dan, for example, and he can be like, "Oh, you know, how's your African Militia project going?" And he can just kind of look at it and say, "Hey, oh, that's really cool," like, you know, whatever. But it also allows me to like get the satisfaction of hitting a little box and getting a check mark saying, "I did that. I'm done. I moved it over here." So that's kind of a nice way for me to like visualize. I always had this like checklist of like stuff, but I was always adding stuff to my list, and I'd cross stuff off, and it wasn't very organized. But Notion is like, it's basically you could do whatever with it. But the way I have it laid out, it's just super easy to use and track and be like, okay. And Dan and I have talked about this. Sometimes you have like a little hobby time paralysis where you're like, I don't know what to do. So you let the dice gods decide. You roll, you know, some dice. You know, you have a little list and you write it down, you know, 1, 2, 3, this, 4, 5, 6, this, roll the dice and see what happens. And then, so it's all right here, and I could do that. And Notion is great. So if you're looking for something to kind of optimize your hobby time, it's something that I guess not a lot of us talk about, but you know, something like this is super cool to use.
We should do that in a little separate small episode.
Yeah, that's a good idea on hobby zone and chi, maybe feng shui,
hobby organizing, hobby feng shui. Yeah, that's great.
So yeah,
and we do also use Notion for our planning of the podcast and everything. Just as a side note.
Yeah, it's cool. Like we can type stuff out live, and we can see what the other person's typing, and it's really easy to like work on a plan or something together. So it has a lot of applications outside of hobby stuff, I guess. But you know, that's what people use it for. Obviously, is hobby stuff. So yeah, I guess Dan, how about you, buddy? What are you thinking for 2022?
Yeah, I have the not ADD, but I cannot get enough down my throat syndrome. So I have like too many game systems.
No, we use those for cold
game
opens.
related.
That's what we need.
And I have too many game systems, which most of them are like interlocked to the World War II and bolt action thing. Like I have Cruel Seas and Blood Red Skies and bolt action, which I want to use together, and I also want to use some other game which I forgot already. Yeah, so I want to cut down on the games, and I want to get most of the games like in a play-ready state. So, without talking too much about the other thing, I go first into the ultra-modern things, which is not only Spectre, which is maybe interesting. But first of all, I want to get all of my Spectre miniatures painted this year. It's about 200 miniatures. I have half of them already primed and based. So there's like no excuse to, I need still to prime, I can just start with them. And I think it's achievable for me if I write it down on my list and stay behind it. And so that's like my main goal for this year. I want to get a lot of terrain out for the ultramodern things and for Zona Alpha, obviously, which will be, because my main theater for ultramoderns will be Eastern Europe. It's the thing I'm gonna focus most. And speaking about ultramodern as well, I have bought Battlegroup Northag with all the starter kits, and I have most of it already as well. Not primed, because they don't need prime, according to Plastic Soldier Company, but based, and I want to paint them down. It's 10mm in size, so this should go fairly quick. I made a test, and for like 4 miniatures and 10mm, I need 20 minutes, so could be a few weekends and I could everything done. The second biggest problem is to source again all the terrain in 10mm, which will be quite a lot.
3D printer.
But again, of course, printing. But the only good thing is that it's so small, so I hopefully paint it faster up. So that's for the ultramodern. I do want to get a 2x2 ready as well, which I got inspired by you to do maybe some demo games as soon as it's possible due to COVID here, to get the word out on Spectre miniature, on the game, Spectre Operation, I mean. And I have a slightly larger prepared 2x2, which is for Black Powder Red Earth, which I want to make one solid board, which I then can modular use to put the building, so I can get some Black Powder Red Earth games going for those super new guys into wargaming, since the rules are so simplistic, as we already told in our little quickie review, which is not so quick, but very good, on point. And besides that, I have already hinted that I have planned a new modular 6x4 board, a modern one. I do want to do a favela board. I have put it priority-wise very backwards, since I do want to keep focus on Eastern Europe as my theater, as said. So I'm not sure about that. I still will write it down and will keep it there, but it has no priorities. And besides that, I have a lot of Frostgrave things to paint up, because I'm tired to playing Frostgrave in Stalingrad with all the broken down factories we use. And what else? I have some Cyberpunk games, and I'm backing the Unit 9 Patreon since ages, so I have literally over 100 miniatures I can print and paint. So maybe get there something going. I have a buddy who's interested in it, so this will be cool. And bolt action, obviously. I have still to paint a lot of miniatures for bolt action. Complete Partisan Army isn't painted yet, but I'm not sure how I will prioritize this. I definitely want to finish my American Army. There are just few things missing to get them through the door, and my British paratroopers, which just need some paint, because I got all what I want for them. So a lot to do, as usual. And I should do the same pledge like Ben commented about no new hobbies and projects for this year. I will stick to it, and Yeah, and I got inspired because this is something which never crossed my mind, what Ben told. It's like that he specifically said he wants to have like 12 games this year done or played. And I did write down as well some similar games, goals for games. And yeah, it's cool. I hope COVID will leave us alone, or at least everything will go better so I can meet new people in the different game areas and game rules, and yeah, maybe meet some of the cool guys in our Discord, which are Spectre fans and players in Germany.
I feel like we have a whole bunch of new German players that join the Discord.
Yeah.
There's got to be like 10 Germans.
10 or so? Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
That's cool.
They're all too far away from me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And Anthony, do you have any goals planned?
I don't do goals. That's why I always tell Ben every time, hey, what are your goals? I don't do goals. But that's mostly just to be a spoil sport.
You're good at it.
My main, as far as like moderns go, my main goal for 2020 is to have my full line, like my full British force done, which includes both my low profile SAS, my high profile SAS, and then my I think it's 2 full squads, a machine gun team of British airborne, and then plus that warrior infantry fighting vehicle, which that is a big piece of resin.
Yeah.
So getting that force all painted, I'm gonna do full camouflage on all of them, which is kind of part of why I was testing it out and getting a feel for it, and if I could actually pull it off. So it's gonna be a lot of finicky work, but it's gonna look really good, I think, when it's done. And then and I guess I do need to get my insurgents finished up, which those are almost wrapped up, but I'm just staring at it thinking like, okay, these are almost done, but I need like 2 or 3 times as many, because they're, insurgents. They're a dime a dozen. You need lots of them.
Yes, we end up recycling.
You can never have enough.
Yeah, we recycle them quite a bit.
Thankfully, I mean, man, I tell you, resin 3D printing is such a huge force multiplier for this hobby. And not that I don't love, all these metal miniatures that are available, but being able to print, obviously, just more options, more poses, but also just like I can just print more. Like I own the STL. It's like I need 2 or 3 more of these guys. I can just print them. I don't need to buy more. I don't need to wait for them to ship from the UK. It's just heat up the printer. And then I have a lot of things I want to 3D print. I need to get like some buildings finished. I have like, my pile of shame is like, well, I've Lead Mountain, and then right next door I have my project rack, which is supposed to be more like a drying rack, but it's more like a heap of half done things.
Lots of MDF.
So my apartment looks.
Yes, yeah, a lot of MDF. So I need to clear that out and get a lot of those projects actually finished. But some of the 3D printable buildings, I know. Dan, what was there's like the factory and then the warehouse that you printed and painted, or
yeah,
did you paint those both?
Yeah,
they're just free. I can't believe how good those are for free.
Yeah. No, I haven't painted them yet, but I'm still painting them.
You were doing your finishing work, and it was looking really good.
Yeah, they're amazing. I'm really amazed by this free files. They're awesome. Yeah.
Well, it's just, and do you remember who made those? Who released those?
Yeah, it's some Polish guy with a name starting with a P. Give me a second.
Like it's really generous to like give anything away, honestly, especially for the prices you can command for things. But yeah, not only are these just really, really nice, but they're designed to be printed and go together. It's I don't know, it's above and beyond, and the fact that he gives them away is just awesome. So if we actually have to look and see if he has like a Patreon or one of those things where you can quote unquote buy them a coffee or whatever, because the guy deserves some money for
Yeah, his name is Piotr Stachu, and from Poland. Which I know because I live in Germany next to Poland, a lot of his designs are very inspired from this Eastern European flair. We will put the link in the description to his Thingiverse page, because the stuff is really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And Thingiverse has a tip designer button where people can set up their PayPal account or something, but I already tried it several times, and he doesn't have anything like set up there. I wanted to write him, I forgot it, but actually I will just do it now and ask if he has a tip jar or a coffee thing,
just
because it's really
send him
awesome.
The shut up and take my money meme.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I know he posts, like, he shares this stuff on one of the Facebook groups, 3D printing for modern wargaming, I think. But yeah, one of my hobby goals is to basically print and paint everything that he's released, because it's all great.
Yeah, it's super awesome stuff. And like you said, just the way that it's designed, it's made to be printed and assembled. There's a lot of cool designs out there, a lot of cool STLs, but they're not so friendly for printers, especially, not your extra large printers. And these are sliced up, what are they, 300 by 300 millimeters?
No, they're smaller, so you could print them on a Ender 3, which
there you go.
With a 20 by 20 centimeter bird. Yeah.
So
it's cool because not only does he make a great design, so the building looks great, but his thought process and how they are cutted and sliced for the printing is really great, because you print a wall twice, so you have like the inner side and the outer side, and then you just sandwich and glue it together, which gives the opportunity that you don't need any supports when you print them with your FDM printer, and therefore you have a complete higher detail, and it looks just better and faster, printing very fast because everything's so flat.
Well, and also I think it's really neat the way he separates the exterior and interior portion of the wall. And if you don't care about the interior, if you're never gonna like if you're not playing Spectre, you're not gonna play in the building. If you're just playing like bolt action, where being in and out are binary states, then maybe you don't even print the interior parts. But if you are going to use them for Spectre, you want really high detail stuff, you can print that interior wall, and it all matches up. And the interior walls are a little smaller because they're meant to like fit in with each other. And then it gives you the option, and I'm trying to figure out how I want to do it, to basically put window panes in between them. Like I can put a clear sheet of plastic, and then have glass.
I did it actually. I used those printable overhead projector foils.
Okay.
Which you can buy. I don't know. It's like 7 cents a sheet. And they're like super thin and clear. And I just cut it out the windows and glued it in between with CA glue, and perfect.
Yeah, the only thing I'm trying to figure out is how to do that and then also spray paint it without actually spray painting over the plastic.
It's
you almost got to do it separately.
Cutting.
But anyways, that's a tangent, especially out of the that's not even the terrain section.
No spoilers. No spoilers.
Yeah. But to continue on this quick thought, I did glue the foil on the inside part, and I built up the outer shell of the building, spray painted it, everything, and then just the interior. I just blandly taped the windows from the front and spray painted it. So because it will be in the inside, it doesn't matter so much.
Okay.
Just a small thought.
I'll keep that in mind.
But awesome design that it even thought that far ahead to do that. It's
this we've been going on and on about how cool these his stuff looks, and how how intelligently he designs it, and then again he's just giving it away. So this guy really deserves credit and props,
Absolutely.
and support. Tip him if he'll let us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Apollo 15, this is Delta 1 over. You can do that. Please keep your assets down. We'll engage.
So, Anthony, Spectre Schmeckter, as we say in Germany. And
Is that the same?
No, not really. But tell us
I thought it was Das Spectre.
Das Spectre, if but yeah, just tell us about your should we do it?
Well, you want to do it again?
Doesn't
now,
matter.
Dan?
Yeah, no, okay, I can do. All right. So, Anthony, tell us a little bit about how did you encounter Spectre as a rule set and got excited for it to stick with it and play with actual people like Ben on a regular basis.
well, like so many things, I got into it because of Ben, and that's because when Ben gets his teeth into something, he's like a dog with a bone. Or a dog chasing cars. But
it's true. I don't know anyone now.
I actually thought about this, and I realized it was really because of bolt action, and bolt action is kind of my main game and our club's main game. And for anyone not aware, it's a World War II tabletop war game, and it was something I was really into, or am really into, and fully committed to, and everything. And I have a mountain of miniatures, but then one day Ben was like, "Hey, check this out, bolt action Vietnam," and it's not like an official game. It's a community made like module or conversion of the World War II game into a Vietnam game, using essentially the same system. And we were like, oh, this is really cool. And then there was models purchased, and then there was models distributed amongst the club members, and then actually nothing happened. But the important part is that it turned me on to like, ooh, I want to play, like Vietnam. I want to play like modern games. And I don't know why I hadn't really thought about it. I was just so laser focused on Volt action that on World War II that I, modern and ultra modern didn't even like occur to me. So, but it was really that I was looking for models for Vietnam and possibly for like some Cold War stuff. And then Spectre popped up on my radar. And I can't remember if it was a Facebook group or if I ended up at the site or Reddit, whatever it was. But Spectre popped up, and I think I saw the miniatures right away. And, if you have the Spectre book, the illustrations in that book are so compelling. They're just showing you these really cool scenarios and situations. You've got, Spetsnaz, on the street fight, in a firefight. You've got like, the streets of Baghdad. You got these really cool scenes set up. And that, to me, wargaming is so much about having cool stuff on the table, cool terrain, cool models. And so that little, just spotting that, it's like, what is this? I got to know more. And then I went into it, and I was like, Spectre Ops, what is Spectre Ops? And I think I just saw some pictures of the book, and then the book looked so well laid out, and just so aesthetically pleasing that I just needed to know more.
And this is version 2, by the way.
Yes, this is version 2.
Yeah. I was just wanted to ask.
I was never aware of version 1.
Good. Keep it up.
So, yeah, and then, that's just, it grabbed my attention because of its, appearance and the models. Just, that's what caught my attention just while I was looking for, really looking for models for Vietnam. But, Cold War and modern was also, a possibility there. So that it grabbed my attention, and I started looking into it, and I found the site, and then I actually kind of buried it because I was like, I I'm not gonna get too distracted. I'm not like Ben. I resist those kind of distractions. So it's like I will save this and I'll put it in a folder and then I'll get back to this when I have time. And then I don't know if I showed it to Ben or if he found it on his own.
No, you showed it to me in my kitchen.
Okay. Oh, that's right. And then that's what it was. I showed it to you and I was like, this is kind of neat. And then of course, not realizing I just set like in motion. As soon as I walked away, Ben was just like, he immediately goes to the site and he starts digging. And then he's like, okay, I think we should get the books. Let's just get the books. I was like, all right, we'll get the books. Like, it couldn't hurt, right? So we get the books. And I think that's right. We ordered the books along with like the starter packs, but they didn't have any starter packs. So we're like sitting there waiting for weeks and they're like, you know what? Just send the books and send us the models when they're available. And it's a good thing because it was like 3 more months before we got those. But we got that book and it was just so good. Like the rules, I'm a sucker for a well-formatted book, especially, coming from like tabletop role-playing where you see everything from great to horribly laid out rule books. And when it's like 400 or 500 pages, it really matters. It really matters if there's an index. It really matters if like, there's an intelligent layout to how the rules are presented and organized. And I felt like they did a really good job. And then on top of it, it was really a very, very aesthetically pleasing book.
Yeah, and still is. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean that's, and then Ben goes and gets his book rebinded with a spiral binding, and that was just like next level. I fell in love with that right away.
Yeah, when Ben told us the Discord group, it blew my mind. I never had this idea. And
yeah, where did you get that idea, Ben?
Awesome.
I don't know where exactly I got it from, but I did it with my Flames of War mini rulebook back when I was trying to dabble in that. And I remembered it, and I'm like, that's a good idea. So I'm sure I stole it from somebody at some point. So whoever you are, thank you. It's made my life a lot better. But
well, I mean, for a rules book, when you want to like open a rule, you open your book to something, to a section, instead of having to shove a piece of paper or something flat, a ruler, something in there to keep your page, or try to have it opened and it's constantly trying to close. It's spiral bound. You just open it. And it's just like, this is so, it's so obvious, but it's like until you realize it. So I suggest anybody for $7 go over to freaking FedEx Kinko's and have them rebind the book.
Yeah.
And then of course I start looking at every other game book I have, like, oh, can I do that with this one? Can I do that? And now I'm suddenly resenting all my hardcover books.
Yes.
True, yeah.
Yes, a plan comes together.
It's ironic. But yeah, that's really, I mean, my journey into Spectre started because of Bolt Action and because of Bolt Action Vietnam. And which is, a totally not even an official thing.
Not yet.
Or I should say yet, yeah. That's actually this is actually on the horizon. Talking to John Russell, they've got
this year actually, as far as I'm aware.
Well, they're not. They will do Vietnam eventually, but what they want to do is work up to, like, through like the early Cold War brushfire wars. So like,
the Pakistani, Irani,
yeah, Pakistan, and India conflicts. Suez Canal crisis, like, and I think that's cool. I love all those like small brushfire conflicts. You have all this disparate, equipment, and like, I'm excited about that for sure. And then they're also going to kind of figure out how to adapt their game to more and more modern equipment. So by the time they get to Vietnam, it's not going to be such a shock to the system and not going to require like 8 different facts the first year because, we didn't know how to do M16s and AK-47s, coming in from a World War II game.
My biggest question, did all of you get any use out of those big order from Vietnam managers?
Did
Yes.
we get any use out of them?
Did
Well,
you pay them up?
no, that shelf that Ben has them on hasn't gone anywhere. It
It's
didn't tip
weighted
over.
down very,
it's weighted
very
down.
well.
Yes. And same with Mike. Mike has all those other ones, and that shelf hasn't tipped over yet either. I'm pleased to report. No. However, this Vietnam 28 millimeters 100% going to happen. So it's not something I feel like it's a wasted effort. It's just, it's dormant. And I blame Spectre Ops because that had to be a fucking awesome game that totally stole the spotlight.
Stole our personal spotlight. I will say that, and we talked with him on the last episode, but Michael Charge has a great tutorial on making Vietnam era miniatures into like modern day Middle East, North Africa, like insurgents especially. And it's a little bit of green stuff, maybe some head swaps here and there, and paint jobs, because as we've said, a paint job can make a miniature. It could take it from one thing to a complete opposite just with the paint job. But he's got a great tutorial on that. So check out his blog. We've linked it in the past. But he's got some good stuff on there.
Yeah, I didn't catch that. I'm definitely going to look into that.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be doing that. And I had plans before Combat Octopus was a thing of making some. I think they were North Vietnamese into some African irregulars for my modern theater, obviously Africa. But because Combat Octopus is a thing, that kind of got put on the wayside.
Yeah, totally, like, single-handedly destroying the kit bashing scene.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like,
Especially
why kit bash
now
when
with the-
I could just make these for you guys? Exactly what you've always wanted.
Yep. It's a great high.
I should ask him to make me some North Korean models.
It's been talked about. Oh, well, not your North Korean, but other North Korean models.
Yeah, modern.
Oh, modern North. I need 1950s North Korean, please.
There you go, Stan. Write that one down.
Although, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I would also like to see modern North Koreans. Who doesn't want to see that conflict play out?
Yeah.
And same with like China, some modern Chinese, and get some like modern Indians. The list grows.
Well, guess what?
Yeah.
A lot of those things are happening or have happened, which is great. Combat Octopus has the Indians, and
that's right.
Those are great out there. There's also been a lot of talk of people want the PLA, the Chinese, from him, and also from the turn base. Antholonica War Games, they have a line out or a coming line of PLA, it sounds like, and maybe some other types. That's in the works, I believe. I don't think that's an official release yet, but it's in the works. And Empress has some PLA. But yeah. We were talking, and you reminded me of this, Anthony. Dan and I were talking about some North Koreans. There's a tutorial that someone just stuck out using. Were they turn-based miniatures as the base? Do you remember, or were they? No, they were Combat Octopus.
He used the African Militia bodies from Combat Octopus with the AKMs.
Yeah,
and he used heads from the from the Gumroad files from those 2000 era Soviet Russians. They are like the heads with this SSH-68 helmet, steel helmet, and they just look spot on if you paint them rightly, like the North Korean, because North Korean also has those GCOM vests, mostly. So yeah, that's pretty cool. It's a funny thing, when Ben sent me the link, I had immediately the same idea like this guy had, and I do have an interest in pulling a North Korean thing myself in Spectre. That's why I have the big Scud missile also. Could be a great objective. But yeah, Norks, North Koreans. Yeah.
We're living in a magical time when you got guys mixing and matching their modular 3D printed miniatures.
Oh, it's nuts. And
it's insane, yeah.
For the price that we're paying for a membership, I have a Sergeant tier membership for Combat Octopus. That's $8 a month, and I get usually six miniatures for that price.
Yeah.
4 to 6. Sometimes 6. Dan's giving me the 4. Sometimes you get 6. With the Africans, I just got 6. Yeah.
True.
And for $8 a month plus the goodie bag, that we had talked about earlier, his little stash of bits. And the fact that they're interchangeable to a degree from each line of miniatures, you get a lot of mileage. It, as Anthony said, a golden age. So Anthony drug me in real hard, real fast. I blame him, and he blames me. I guess that's how friends work. That's just.
Well, I mean, it's the game's fault. Let's be honest. If it wasn't such a good game, if it wasn't so compelling, and really for me, I guess how to put it, like the game is so like open ended. It's so, ready to be built upon. The fact that it's scenario based, and it's. I think I've mentioned before, it reminds me of like a tabletop role playing game in a lot of ways. It's like the role playing game of war games, in that you're setting up scenarios, you're building your forces based on what makes sense for the scenario, not my 1,000 points versus your 1,000 points.
Yeah.
I know some people want that. That's why they kind of sound like begrudgingly made a point system that they uploaded to their site that you can download. But I think that's a lesser way to play the game. Like, the game's strength is using these rules to play interesting scenarios.
Yeah, it's storytelling
based on movies or on real events or completely fictional crap you want to make up. That's what immediately attracted me. That's what made me fall in love right away. And then it was, and that was just moderns, that was just like the ultra modern or like the Cold War stuff. And then I suddenly had this, dude, you could take this back to World War II and this should work perfectly.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, now we're doing commando raids, and it is a really, really versatile system, and that's why it was able to actually derail my hobby from bolt action so readily. Like, I felt like Ben.
Living in my shoes.
Now I'm chasing cars.
I pity you. I pity
3D
you.
printed cars.
3D printed cars nowadays.
So, but coming back to the Vietnam ones, you guys are not interested in doing the Vietnam conflict anymore.
Well, I wouldn't say that. It's been put on pause.
I mean, actually, if anything, we've already talked about using Spectre to play Vietnam.
Yeah, there's that one solo battle report on YouTube that I know. I think we've mentioned on the podcast, and Anthony, I know you. I think you pointed it out to me. There's this guy playing Vietnam, and it's like a what is it, LRP or long range
LRP, yeah,
reconnaissance party, whatever. Where they're scouting into a camp, I think, and it's just really cool. Like, instead of like an urban jungle, you're like legitimately, he had like a jungle table kind of set out, and it was like,
a lot of teddy bear fur, long hairs thing.
I was
awesome.
Hearing a lot of Run Through the Jungle, Creedence Clearwater, Fortunate Son, that kind of thing. So it's something we'll definitely revisit, but maybe bolt action. I mean, there's been a lot of progress on that fan-made one. And it's called VC on the Trail. If you Google that, it'll pop up. It's a very good port from, bolt action to modernize it, and adding a flavor for Vietnam, as far as different units and booby traps and stuff like that. So check that out if that's something that interests you. But I think that, again, Spectre, it's my main squeeze, and I think that it's not even, you don't have to do any work. It's just right there. You just use different weapons, and you
just plug in what you need.
Well, and they have the jungle supplement too. On their site, so it's not even, you don't have to make up rules for punchy sticks. Like, there are rules for that type of thing. So Yeah.
Yeah, I think the problem with bolt action, because I also kind of want to have a sort of bolt action Vietnam, but the Vietnam war was so asymmetric that 1,000 versus 1,000 point system wouldn't work at all, and just generally it wouldn't work. I mean, every conflict is not symmetrical, so but that one I think is specifically very difficult. So a rule set, if I can just throw it in, a rule set I'm looking forward for is from Pierce, who writes the battle group rules for Plastic Soldier Company. They're doing their own Vietnam game. It's called NAM 68, and it's actually more of a like the Spectre approach, I will call it, with being more cinematic and more about telling the story. So usually you have in the rule set you have 1 to more United States players, and they're just trying to go through one tour of duty and surviving it with their squad or platoon, and you have one opponent who plays the bad guy side, the Viet Cong or the NVA. NVA.
Yeah, North Vietnamese and Viet Cong.
Yeah. And there's like a lot of things like you have reporters and they need to do check rolls if they do recognize that it's cameras and not real guns, and things like this. And I think this is maybe a more interesting approach. Maybe, but I mean, generally speaking,
I think sounds very interesting from a wargaming perspective.
Yeah.
The strength of bolt action is that it is extremely well balanced towards competitive play, and that's what they set out to do, is create a World War II game that you could play competitively. It makes for an extremely well balanced, streamlined play, but it does take away from your more historically accurate play. Like, it's very difficult to do like a D-Day landing and have it be, authentic, because the game just doesn't necessarily work out very well in that fashion, at least for 1,000 points versus 1,000 points or whatever. You have to really tinker with it to get that kind of thing to work. But if you just set yourselves up with, my platoon versus your platoon, I designed mine with 1,000 points the way I want, you did yours, it's a really, really fun game to play. But that is in World War II, where you have conventional armies going up against each other. When you go to Vietnam and you have an unconventional army versus a conventional army, how do you do that in a point build system? There might be a really eloquent way to do it, but I don't know it yet.
Well, yeah, you're giving your less conventional forces some tricks in the bag,
Right, and I think that's if you're talking about the VC, you have to have some sort of asymmetrical way for them to spend their points and for them to play out the fight. And I'm sure that's totally workable within the bolt action game system.
I'd say different objectives would help too.
You can, right, sure. And secret objectives, we see that with the community missions pack. But also, if you're just talking about either the South Vietnamese army or the United States army versus the North Vietnamese army, you can still have a stand-up fight. It would be ahistorical for the most part, but you could still do it.
More what ifs.
Right. Having some, T-55s and BTRs, going up against, Patton tanks and the APCs, and it would be this kind of weird Cold War fight in Vietnam, in a much more conventional fashion than was ever actually happening. And it could be a lot of fun, but it wouldn't be this isn't your dad's Vietnam.
Yeah, I'm really excited about the Vietnam range from Rubicon models, especially with their
that's the other thing too, right?
28mm miniatures plastics, which looks insane. The pictures we already have been shared with us.
They're teasing all this bold Vietnam stuff, and yet they still haven't released their goddamn Panzer II.
Oh, look, another angry German player. Oh, we don't have enough toys. Surprise, surprise.
Print one yourself.
Oh, he has 3 or 4. Believe me, I've been on the receiving end of them. They're terrible.
Oh, those are the Panzer ones.
Oh,
Little
that's
DACA
true.
boxes.
That's right. Those are Panzer ones. I'm kind of emotionally scarred by those little fellers.
Yeah, you should be.
It turns out that
12 dice
it's
in
a
your
good thing that
face.
Germany didn't fight Japan with Panzer ones or anything like that.
It's good, yeah, good thing for the Japanese. Who would have thought that the hard counter to the Japanese was the Panzer one
If only
with
they
twin
knew.
machine guns on it?
Yeah. So yeah, that yeah, man, in a nutshell, that was a good trip down memory lane right there. It's hard to believe we've been at this for, oh man, like 3 years now.
Yeah. Well, man, 2020, that was about to be our year, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
We started that strong with a tournament, and I think we were just getting into Spectre, and it was just like, yes, this is going to be nothing but gaming.
Then COVID.
Yeah.
We're getting back there, though. I mean, luckily, between people being vaccinated and, doing what you got to do, we're able to get some games in here and there, and hopefully, fingers crossed, as we all are hoping now, 2 years into this thing, that we're almost out of the woods, but we'll see. So, yeah. Very nice, very nice. Well, now that Anthony's gone to go get a drink, we can talk about adult stuff.
Adult stuff? You mean like picking up easy women, or?
No, Dan. Picking up weapons and equipment.
Oh, of course. Inspector, I guess.
Yeah, so our next rules segment is going to be on picking up weapons and equipment. And that's going to be on page 55 of the Spectre Operations Rulebook.
2nd edition.
Yes. So, Dan, you told me earlier that you've never done this, which surprises me because for some reason this happens all the time in my games.
I mean, usually there's no time to go and pick up something, or we don't have so distinctive equipment or weapons with the group or team you're playing. So mostly we do it like the easy way. Everybody has assault rifles or just general stuff. But like you told me, you have guys picking up RPGs and things, which makes more sense. So maybe it's a fault of our scenario.
So yeah, one of the things that is really common for our players to want to pick up is, special weapons like a light machine gun or a hand grenade or an RPG, like you said, or it could be, like a sniper rifle, which happened in one of our games. So in order to do that, the model needs to move into contact with the dead model carrying it. Now you could maybe either leave the model on the board or mark it with a chit, or just say, hey, my guy's right next to this guy. He wants to pick up the weapon.
How do you do it?
That's what we do. I mean, I guess sometimes
tip him over?
Yeah, I guess we tip him over. I actually scratched one of my models the other day doing that. I know. I thought the varnish was good enough. Apparently not. Anyway, so yeah, you put your model next to the dead model, or if it's something that you're picking up for the scenario, just move it into base contact with that item. It could be the briefcase that you're trying to pick up, or whatever, the intelligence laptop, something. So once you do that, you can't make any other actions that turn. So you kind of got a plan. You want to have maybe another model covering you, or at least there to take the heat, because you're going to attract a lot of attention if you're trying to pick up the RPG from the guy that just got shot, because no one wants an RPG shot at him, right?
No.
So if you're retrieving a weapon or piece of equipment from a dead model, there's a chance that it might have been damaged in what happened to that model previously. So there's actually a table on page 55, and you roll a d6, and then you look at the table and compare your result, and you can tell from the table if your weapon or piece of equipment is still able to be used. So there are a couple different things. So on a 2-up, if the model was killed in a fall or road accident or crash, which happens quite often if you drive vehicles around in Spectre, then you need a 2-up to be able to use that piece of equipment or weapon. So pretty easy. Probably just maybe had a little road rash on the weapon or whatever. Still operable. Now, if the model was killed by direct fire, up to a 50 cal or light fragmentation or explosion, like a grenade or something smaller, then it's a 3-up. And if it was a heavy weapon, like a 50 cal or larger, or large explosion from like a mine or an IED or something similar to that, then you need a 4-up. An RPG would be a good example. Yes, that could really mess up a rifle that you want to pick up.
Yeah.
And again, that's just simulating that when stuff happens on the battlefield, equipment as well as people get broken and destroyed. So it's not quite like Call of Duty where you can go around and pick up everybody's weapon. So there's always a chance that that piece of equipment is not viable anymore, and then no one can use it. So one thing that's kind of baked into your scenario too is you kind of have to consider the technical level of training that is needed to operate the weapon. So your run-of-the-mill insurgent might not be able to fire a javelin. That's the example that they give in the book. But you think about it, not everybody may be able to fire a 50 caliber rifle, or maybe it's out of ammunition, or there could be some variables there. So work it out with your opponent whether it's reasonable for that model to actually be able to use whatever they're picking up, right?
I mean, you could even go so far, like if you have trained forces fighting each other, and they want to have like AK Russian style weapons that they're not proficient with, like AR platforms, or the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you probably saw that often that people like struggle with mag reloads, for example. It's like one thing you could go so.
You can definitely tell when someone who's used to an AK platform reloads an AR, and vice versa. There's the wrap around and pull on the charging handle, and that's like, you're not from here. Or maybe, I'm just kidding. Maybe you are, I don't know. But so keep that in mind. That also makes the game a little bit more flavorful. So again, it doesn't fall into the Call of Duty where everybody's running around and picking up the machine gun and just gunning people down, because it's just like hot potato. With one guy dies with it, the next guy picks it up, and so yeah.
So my question, because as I said, I have never used it, because actually I know that this rule exists, but it never came up during play in my mind to pick up a weapon of a fallen comrade or something. But do you determine if the weapon is still usable when the miniature dies, or only when you're gonna pick it up?
When you're gonna pick it up. So that simulates the guy or girl, I guess, is picking up the piece of equipment or weapon and examining it and saying, yes, this will work, or no, this is not going to work.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Yeah.
I think it's also easier.
Yeah, it's easier that way. And then also, like I said before, when you pick it up and if you fail that check for the weapon, then it just becomes inoperable and no one else can try and mess around with it.
You keep that on mind, or do you mark it with a token, or just remove the...
Personally, we just remove the casualties for the most part, unless we're taking pictures or something for some reason. Just because, like I said, I scuffed one of my models, and I thought I had good varnish on there, but apparently I didn't. So I just don't want to do that. And so we usually take them away. So
my next question, because I'm, always...
full of questions.
Questions. How do you determine the additional weight or carrying capacity of miniatures? Like, for example, I think it's a task force miniature which has like the AR-15 and the shotgun and like bolt croppers and stuff, breaching equipment. So can he pick up an RPG, or is it something you decide, or you just one shot the RPG and then you don't have any ammunition and drop it style?
Yeah, I think that's something, again, that you can... I'm going to take the cop-out answer and say this is something you can work out with your opponent. Personally, we've never ran into that issue, but that is a very good and, as I said before, flavorful way to play your game. I mean, weight is a real consideration in the real world. I wouldn't want to be lugging around an AR, a breaching shotgun, and an RPG. There's no way. Maybe you pick it up, and like you said, I like that idea, where he gets the one shot, and then he tosses it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or he could swap it. Like, I no longer need my breaching shotgun. Now I'm going to carry around this RPG. And there really isn't much in the way of a weight that the game portrays weight.
Yeah.
There's heavy body armor, which slows you down a little bit at the, but it gives you a little bit more protection. but there's not a whole lot of other things that I can think of.
Ballistic shields.
Ballistic shields. Too. Okay.
I guess.
Yeah. So there are certain pieces of equipment that slow you down, but otherwise, for the most part, it's like, grenades aren't really heavy, but, if you carry a couple of them, they add up.
Yeah.
So, you don't have a guy with a huge bandolier of grenades running around. I mean, I guess you could, but again, personal opinion on grenades is they're pretty powerful. So I don't know if I'd want to do that too much because it turns into everybody throwing grenades at each other. Which is
like Call of Duty.
Which is fun, but at the same time, yeah, it's not fun.
Just checking the ballistic shields.
You know what? Dan, now that I'm really thinking about this, and I flipped the page, I'm looking at page 57, and there's actually something. I'm going to take back everything I just said. There is a page on weapon and equipment carriage. So a soldier can only carry so many weapons and equipment and remain effective, obviously, like we just said. So weapons, you can carry up to one primary, secondary, and a sidearm. You can also carry one primary, one sidearm, and one shoulder-fired launcher. And that model may carry up to 2 ammo types. The model may also in the sense of may carry a medium machine gun and a sidearm instead of the primary, secondary, and sidearm.
Yeah.
Or up to a primary, a secondary, and one heavy sniper rifle, anti-material rifle, or anti-tank weapon. So there you go. In addition to that, you can also carry up to 3 throw-type weapons. So 2 grenades per type. So you could have a flashbang, a smoke grenade, and a frag grenade. And you can have 2 of each of those. Mm-hmm. You can carry up to 2 anti-personnel mines or up to 1 mine or improvised explosive device. So I take back what I said. The game does actually have something very good. I think that we always just, we run into this where we run our models as they are, what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
So if it has a rifle, it has a rifle. Sometimes we don't account for equipment like that. So you can put body armor on your model that doesn't have body armor modeled. But you could also do something like Sorry, my kid is yelling at me. Can you hear that?
Yeah, probably, but never mind.
Okay.
That's life. Kids running around.
Life.
The dog barking.
Yeah. Sorry, you're going to hear my child asking for me. Anyway, you can carry these things, and a lot of times we won't model them on the model for equipment, but one of the common things is 2 of each type of grenade. I think that we've always gone with that, and I guess probably at some point we did read this and realize that is a thing in the rules, so guys aren't carrying bandoliers. But just burped up beer in my nose.
Nice.
I don't remember what I was saying. Talking about grenades, I guess.
Yeah, no bandoliers and no mushroom picking baskets full of HE grenades and stuff.
Yes. Yeah, that would be kind of. It does turn into, like I said, it's fun, but it's not fun when you're just rolling for 8s and then grenades are blowing up next to everybody, and it's not fun when everybody has. But
we have done this as well, like with the 2 grenades at max of per type. Probably the same thing like you said. That I read it one time and kept this in my head, but the other stuff not.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And again, I think that's just because we look at what the model is, has on it physically laid out with. WYSIWYG. Again, as long as you discuss things with your opponent, there's no reason that you have to do that. You just want to be able to tell them apart.
And discuss it before the game. Very important.
Very, very important.
Yeah.
Very important.
So, yeah, there you have it. Pretty cool. Thanks for the refresher, Ben. I will definitely keep this on my mind for the next game I'm gonna have.
Yeah. You and your opponent are gonna be picking up weapons like crazy.
Yeah.
It's gonna be hot potato with the RPG.
Yeah. We will have like one guy with an LMG and RPG in the middle, and everybody else just has sidearms and pistols.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Front line 15, this is Alzheimer. Yeah, those one courthouse lawyer booked and passed silent.
Speaking of not reading books, I guess we can come up with something else for you guys to do, because obviously I don't read the book. So I need things to do. So Dan, what do you have for us?
I have a new challenge. A quick recap. We had a small challenge on the Discord, if you remember. Probably you did. Which was kind of 3 weeks of time you had. So it kind of was nice, but a lot of people didn't manage to finish their project. So we decided to do a new one. This time with enough time for you to finish it and get some votes on it. And Ben, what is the challenge?
So the challenge Dan and I came up with is we love dogs. All kinds of dogs. But yeah, so for the challenge is to have 2 sets of dog handlers. One Blue 4 dog handler with a dog, and one Op 4 dog handler with a dog. Now they can be on the same base, on different bases, whatever, and it can be anything your heart desires as long as it's something that would fit into a good guy's dog handler and a bad guy's dog handler. So it's a total of 4 miniatures in how long, Dan? What are we doing? I think mid-April we were talking about ending this.
So obviously when you're hearing it and you know of it, then you can already start it. We will, on the release of this episode, also post on our Discord in the challenge section the detailed rules. And we are trying, or we're not trying, we are aiming for you to have time until Eastern, so this is like mid-April, like you said. I don't have a calendar on my hand. For you to turn in your results and your miniatures, and then we want to have like something like 2 weeks worth of possibility voting until we relieve of stress who's gonna win
for somebody.
Reveal the winners on a special little podcast, maybe on YouTube.
Maybe on YouTube. Maybe we'll reveal our faces.
Yeah.
Be like Batman taking off his mask or something.
But watch it on an old screen, so when it breaks, it's not so expensive.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Sorry for all your computer screens in advance.
Yeah. It would be like a jump scare.
But yeah, the whole thing is we really enjoyed the community building that occurred during the first challenge with the technicals. We saw a lot of cool stuff. Some people doing some of their first models. Even if they didn't enter them, people were still kind of doing some projects, and it's kind of cool. People posting their progress pictures and whatnot. And people could ask questions about, hey, how'd you do that? I liked, where'd you get that model? I really liked that. I think that there were a couple turn-based the F-150s from the Federales set. A couple of those made an appearance. Some other technicals made an appearance. So it was a cool opportunity for everybody to kind of be working on something similar and be able to compare notes. As Dan and I always say back and forth, that there are no secrets in this hobby.
Yes.
It's all about sharing the wealth and enjoying the fruits of our labor, all combined.
Yeah.
So yeah, we want to have that experience again. It was a lot of fun. I might actually do my project this time instead of last time where I was like, yeah, I'll do that, and I didn't. I voted though. And that's important.
Please, yeah.
Yeah. So look forward to that coming in the pipe.
Yeah.
I don't know. You have anything else about that, Dan?
Yeah. Well, obviously, something we don't have yet any sponsors. We are in the talk with some persons in the hobby. So if we manage, we want to give a little bit more of a motivation in terms of small prizes if we manage it, but no promises. It's all about the experience and the community building and having fun. Yeah, camaraderie. Yeah. So
absolutely.
Maybe.
So again, that's 4 miniatures. If it's possible for me, it's possible for you.
If you can source the dogs.
Yeah, that's going to be the key there. I have some ideas, and I know you do too.
Yeah.
So we'll be kind of chit-chatting about that after this episode is released. So look forward to that.
Exactly. can't wait to see your results.
So, as always, we're going to have a couple links in the description to the episode. And we do have an email, which we include every time, sadly. The only thing that we have found is, what was it, Dan? We were like number 220 in the leisure activities in the UK. So thank you for our UK listeners for giving us that wonderful award. Number 220, that's right, 221, which was a knitting show. They can suck it. Yeah. So, yes, number 220. I'm getting that put on a shirt. So, I mean, if you want, I mean, most of you guys and girls are in our Discord. The Discord that we're part of. It's not our podcast Discord. The Discord we're part of. If you have anything that you want us to cover, rules or topics, we have a whole bunch of stuff planned, probably for at least another couple episodes if people keep listening. Let us know. You can email us, or you can get a hold of us on the Discord, or now we have 2 new ways.
Brand new.
Finally, we got a Facebook page, and it's kind of a slow rollout, but we have a Facebook page and an Instagram that it was my gaming Instagram, which has now been repurposed to Dan and my gaming Instagram, which is going to maybe get a little rebranding in the near future here. But so if you want to get a hold of us on those different ways, and look forward to, as we had promised, probably in episode 1, some YouTube videos. Finally, we're getting our act together, and we have stuff planned and actually partially recorded here and there. So look forward to some YouTube videos.
Yes. Ben even bought a new camera.
I did. And I need to get another new camera to do some... I found a cool camera that does some auto stabilization.
Ooh. Like a gimbal.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, like a little gimbal dealio. And I could get down and look at eye level miniatures. So I'm pretty stoked about that. But I need to save my pennies for that. That's like $500. That's a lot of miniatures.
So,
yeah.
Ration your resin.
Yeah.
So don't print everything at once.
Oh, but I want to. I have a problem, Dan. I have a
We
problem.
all
Okay.
have.
I see it and I get myself in trouble. Like, Then all of a sudden I have like 8 million models that are just laying here. Their sports on. Yeah. You know the story.
We should make a miniature anonymous group, like
MA. Maybe that's a t-shirt idea. I'll write that one down.
Oh, and before I forget it, Miska Miniatures is currently in the making of a new Kickstarter. Probably when you're hearing this, the Kickstarter is already running. He will be doing some Saharian Militia, which the preview pic just look extremely gorgeous. Like, I think 13 miniatures and 1 land cruiser and probably some pretty cool stretch goals. And we put the link in the description. And if I'm right, it should end mid-March, so maybe 15th, 16th of March. So make sure, if you're into the North African theater, to take a peek, and probably some great addition to your existing endless range.
Yeah. So, as always, guys, have fun and roll some 6s.
Roll some 6s.
Don't move! Don't fucking move! Put your hands in the air! Put your hands in the air! Put them up! Get on your knees! Hey!
Ah, finally is this over. Man, that was a chore. Now I can finally play Warhammer again. Oh, it's still recording. Shit.